What's going on there, YouTube? Welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to do a full story video. A full story video is when I sit down and take a bunch of videos that tell one overarching story and combine them together into one big video. Now, today's full story video is going to be about Secret Wars 2015. Now, this was a massive event for Marvel Comics. And let me explain why. So when it came to Jonathan Hickman, he was working on the Avengers and New Avengers around that time in Marvel Comics. In those two books, we were talking about the idea of the entire multiverse just getting wiped out by the Beyonders. Now, by the end of those two books, most of the multiverse was gone, but you then had Doctor Doom being able to take out the Beyonders and become God Doom. But the problem was, by the time that happened, the multiverse was gone. But then you had God Doom being able to create a new Earth. Now, when it came to this new Earth, it was technically put together of different Earths from different realities, or really different pieces of Earths from different realities in the Marvel's old multiverse to make up this new Earth that God Doom had built. Now, when it came to God Doom, he was hoping to rule over this new Earth. But of course, plans never do go as planned. And so when it came to Secret Wars, it all came down to Doctor Doom going up against Reed Richards. It was one heck of a story, and I do hope you enjoy. Okay, so we are finally here. Secret Wars by Jonathan Hickman. And let me tell you right now, this story is amazing. Jonathan Hickman, dude, you did an amazing job. I am so thankful for this book because it is amazing. Now, with that being said, Jonathan Hickman wrote Avengers and New Avengers right before this event. But both those books led up to this event right here because it was Jonathan Hickman basically introducing the idea that the multiverse is dying. And with the multiverse is dying, the Illuminati were trying to find different ways to save the multiverse. Unfortunately, they could not. And now it's down to only two different universes, the main Marvel universe and the ultimate Marvel universe. And that right there is very important because we are about to watch both Earths fight against one another to hopefully save their own Earth. And so we pick up with Secret Wars number 0. Now, Secret Wars number 0 was a free comic book day book, meaning that you went to a nearby comic book store, you would get a free comic book, and basically in that comic book, you would have a bunch of different stories. But those stories only had a couple pages as a way to pull you into the series to go buy the next book in the series. And so that what happened with Secret Wars number 0. You had just a couple pages, but with those pages, it was a way to pull you in and to go buy the next book, which was Secret Wars number 1. Now, with Secret Wars number 0, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom. Now remember, the last time we saw these two characters, they had went and confronted the Beyonders. And remember, the Beyonders were the reason why the multiverse was dying. And so Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, they went there to confront the Beyonders to hopefully have a way to stop them from killing off the multiverse. The problem is though, the last time we saw those two characters, all we saw was a bright light, and that was it. And so we were left to believe that possibly Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom had failed. And matter of fact, in Secret Wars number 0, we are left to believe that once again, with that bright light, left to believe that they had failed to stop the Beyonders. But then we jump over to the Ultimate Marvel Universe, where we pick up with Ultimate Nick Fury and Ultimate Hawkeye calling up Ultimate Reed Richards. Now remember, in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, Ultimate Reed Richards was the only person who knew about the incursions. No one else knew about that. And so he was going around and basically stopping the Ultimate Marvel Universe from dying. But recently he realized there's nothing he can do. The multiverse is dying. And so he told Nick Fury, hey man, listen, we're part of the multiverse. On top of that right now, we are now one of the last two universes in the multiverse. And we are about to crash into that other universe very soon. But if you want to save our universe, you have to blow up their Earth in their universe to save our Earth in this universe. And so Nick Fury, Hawkeye, the Ultimates, and almost any other hero in the Ultimate Marvel Universe is about to go over to the main Marvel Universe to hopefully blow it up and save the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Now, while Nick Fury, the Ultimates, and S.H.I.E.L.D. are getting ready for that mission right there, the Maker, he's going somewhere else. Matter of fact, the Maker has now joined the Cabal. Now remember, the Cabal is Thanos, the Black Order, Namor, Black Swan, and originally they were locked up in Wakanda in the main Marvel Universe, but they broke free. And when they found out the multiverse was dying, they were going around the multiverse blowing up Earths left and right. And so right now they also learned that the multiverse is basically screwed. There's only two Earths left. The main Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Marvel Universe. But either way, it's Reed Richards and the Cabal not going to help Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. fight against the main Marvel Universe because they have their own plans. And what their plan is, we have no idea. But they are not going to help the heroes of the Ultimate Marvel Universe. But then we pick up with Secret Wars #1. In the opening pages of this book, we get the war between the two universes, Ultimate Marvel versus main Marvel. Both worlds are fighting against one another. It's big, it's huge. And so while the war is going on, you have Reed and other heroes from the main Marvel universe right now trying to finish their life raft. Now remember, the life raft has the ability to survive even after the universe dies. And so it's Reed and the other heroes from the main Marvel universe hoping to use the life raft as a way to help restart the human race after their universe dies. And they're hoping that there's a possibility they can find some other universe or begin the process of rebuilding the multiverse. And so right now they're trying to get the life raft ready to go because this war is happening all over the earth. But on top of that, both Earths are crashing into one another. There's nothing any side can do right now. But getting back into the war, I do want to point out that Jonathan Hickman is trying his best to make sure the war is not so one-sided. Because if you're a fan of both universes, you already know that there is no way the Ultimate Marvel Universe could possibly beat the main Marvel Universe. There is no way, because when it came to the Ultimate Marvel Universe, a lot of their heroes were powered down compared to their main Marvel Universe counterparts. And so with that, even though Jonathan Hickman is trying to make sure this war is not one-sided, a lot of panels kind of give that away, saying like, listen, Ultimate Marvel, they can try their best, but they do not stand a chance against the main Marvel Universe heroes. They really don't. But then you have the Maker, aka the Ultimate Reed Richards, reveal that he does have something up his sleeve that could possibly help out the heroes from the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Now, with that being said though, you are left to wonder, why in the world would he actually try to help out the heroes from the Ultimate Marvel Universe? Because we were left to believe that he did not care. He knew that both universes are going to die. But either way, he does release his Doomsday's weapons as a way to help out the Ultimate Marvel heroes to fight against the main Marvel Universe heroes. But again, you are left to wonder, why in the world would he help them out for? It's just crazy, but of course, it is the Maker. He is a crazy but smart villain. And so thanks to the Maker using those doomsday weapons as a way to kill off more heroes of the main Marvel universe, you have Reed and T'Challa realize they have to go now. Because if they don't go right now, they could possibly die in this war. Or they could possibly die when their universe dies. And so they have to turn on the life raft and hopefully escape before their universe dies. Now, they do use another character's powers, and that character is Manifold, who does have the ability to teleport almost anyone or anything. And so with that, he does begin the process of teleporting important characters onto the life raft, because those characters plus the ones who are already there have the best chance to help restart the human race once this universe dies. And so right now we see Manifold going around grabbing different characters of the Marvel universe. So like Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Star-Lord. Apparently these characters could have a great help into restarting the human race, including Cyclops, who just got a Phoenix egg in the egg hatch. And so right now Cyclops is the Phoenix. But once you have Manifold being able to get every single person on the life raft, you have T'Challa and Reed turn it on, and they just got lucky, because as soon as they turn it on, that was the moment you have both Earths crashing into one another. That right there is huge, because if they waited one more second, they would also die with the two universes. But here comes the big problem though. See, with both Earths crashing into one another, it does lead into a lot of energy being sent to the life raft. And with that energy, part of the life raft breaks away. And that part is, of course, holding the family of Reed Richards. Not him, but his family. So Susan, Val, Franklin, they were on that part that broke away from the life raft. And so right now Reed has to use his powers to hopefully save his family, because if he doesn't, they will die with the two Earths that just blew up. Now here comes a bigger problem. T'Challa says you have a short amount of time to grab them and bring them back on here, because if you don't do it in time, the shields will go up, and that means they're stuck on the outside, and they will die with the rest of the universes that were left. And so Reed feels confident that he'll be able to save his family. Unfortunately, even though he was very confident that he could do it in time, he couldn't, because the shields, they went up. His family, they died with the two Earths. And so just like that, Reed Richards had to watch the death of his family, just like that, as they die with the two universes that were left of the Marvel Multiverse. And this is where we are going. Okay, so we are back with Secret Wars, and we pick up with Secret Wars number 2. Now, this right here is very important because it's really Jonathan Hickman just giving us everything he was working up to. And what I mean is, if you were following our Avengers and New Avengers storyline, he was telling us a story about the death of the multiverse. And if you saw our last Secret Wars video, we saw the last two universes just go away. The Ultimate Marvel Universe and the main Marvel Universe were wiped out. And so with those two universes gone, it's kind of like, what is left? What is left of the Marvel Multiverse if every single universe is no longer around? And that is when you have Jonathan Hickman give us something new, something pretty amazing. But before we get to know what that amazing thing is, he gives us small details here and there that something has happened after the death of the multiverse. Now, the first thing Jonathan Hickman does as a way to show us that things are different after the death of the multiverse is by introducing a bunch of men right now taking a very particular test. And what I mean is, you have a bunch of men right now trying to pick up the hammer of Thor. Now, of course, some of these men, they are unable to actually do it. But that is the moment you have one young man walk over, grab the hammer, and being able to lift the hammer. And of course, that means that he will become Thor. Now, you would think that we are getting possibly a new origin of Thor, a new retelling of the origin of Thor. But the thing is, we're not. Because that is the moment we come to find out this man, he is not going to be the only Thor. Matter of fact, there are many Thors all right now in this one room who had watched him pick up that hammer to become the next Thor, to join their group. Now, we are not told what this group of Thor are called, but we now know there's not just one Thor. There is a lot of them. Now, you do have this older Thor walk over to the younger Thor, the new one, and he tells him the next step you need to do is to get on one knee. And the reason why you need to get on one knee is to praise Lord Doom. And that is the moment we come to find out Dr. Doom did something to make himself God. He is now God Doom. And the question is, what did he do? Now, of course, you do have this older Thor tell the younger Thor the origin of this new world. And what he tells us is, after the death of the multiverse, there was nothing. There was nothing left at all. But then somehow God Doom came in the picture. Doom was able to bring out a new Earth. And this new Earth is not the one that we saw back in the main Marvel universe. Matter of fact, this Earth is very special. And that is the moment you have the older Thor tell us that this new Earth that was created by Dr. Doom, there are different kingdoms across this Earth, but each kingdom is very special for its own particular reason. But we have no idea what this older Thor means. The only thing he can tell us that somehow Dr. Doom is now God Doom. He was able to recreate a brand new Earth, but apparently this Earth is very strange. It's different. And matter of fact, right off the bat, we have our first clue that this new Earth is different because now we have an army of Thors. And the question is, though, why? That is the big question. Now, we do begin the process of actually exploring this new Earth. Now, we do pick up with some members of the Future Foundation. Now, remember, before Secret Wars, the Future Foundation was a bunch of children that were brought together by Reed Richards because he was creating a think tank, a way for children to come together to build a bunch of new ideas that could possibly help the Earth out because these kids were very smart for their age. Now, with that being said, though, with this being a new Earth, we have no idea if these are the same original Future Foundation members. They look like them, but with Dr. Doom have apparently recreating a new Earth, this could be a new version of them. And so with that being said, these guys are right now investigating an earthquake in one of the kingdoms. And when they go find the main point of this earthquake, that is the moment they find the life raft. Now we are left to believe that this life raft is actually the same ones the heroes from the main Marvel universe use as a way to survive after the death of the multiverse. But here's the thing, that life raft is not them. That life raft belongs to a different group. But did you have Jonathan Hickman continue the idea of giving us a tour of this new Earth that was made by Dr. Doom? And what he does is, while you have the new young Thor, the one we saw who picked up the hammer at the very beginning of this video, as he's right now traveling with his older Thor partner, is him learning about the new Earth as we are learning about this new Earth. Because this Thor, he came from one kingdom and he never traveled to other kingdoms. But now he has the ability to travel to other kingdoms. And the reason why is not just because he is a Thor, because he's part of the Thor Corps. It is a police force that works under God Doom. And so they had jurisdiction over all the different kingdoms across this new Earth. And right now, they're heading over to the kingdom that belongs to Mr. Sinister. And the reason why, because Mr. Sinister needs to be put on trial for a crime that he has done. And so these two Thors were given a task to go over to Sinister Kingdom and to basically teleport him over to the main courtroom so they can begin his trial. And so when the two Thors arrive at the courtroom, that is the moment we see God Doom sitting on his throne. Now remember that we have no idea how Dr. Doom became God Doom and was able to make a new Earth, but he is the one in charge. And Doctor Strange is like his assistant, his right-hand man. So there are so many questions that are popping up left and right, but we have to move on. But with that being said, we actually pick up in the middle of this court session. And really, it is just Mr. Sinister being accused by the House of Braddock for trying to work with the kingdom that belongs to Hyperion as a way to take over the House of Braddock's land. Of course, Mr. Sinister denies the accusations, but of course, we know that he was doing some dirty things on the side. But the point of this section is to really show how Dr. Doom handled things in his kingdom with this courtroom. Because Mr. Sinister is found guilty, but of course, he doesn't want to be accused guilty. So he demands an arena fight against the leader of the House of Braddock. Because if he wins, all of the charges are dropped just like that. Now, the person Mr. Sinister must fight in this arena fight is actually Brian Braddock. Now, that name right there should sound very familiar because in the main Marvel universe, Brian Braddock is better known as Captain Britain. But with this being a new Earth, he's no longer a Captain Britain. Matter of fact, he's only a leader of the House of Braddock. And that's all we know about him right now. But either way, he is the person who must fight against Mr. Sinister. Now, their fight is really interesting and not like, oh my God, it's so intriguing, we might get something out of this. No, it's kind of Jonathan Hickman reminding us about Mr. Sinister because he is a character that usually wants to play around with his opponents. He loves to give his opponents the thoughts that they could possibly win against him. But in reality, they're going to lose against him because he always has secret plans up his sleeve. And so just like this fight, at first, it does look like Brian Braddock is going to win the battle. But at the end of the fight, it ends up being Mr. Sinister. He's the one who's about to win this fight, and he's about to give the killing blow. But that is the moment you have God Doom use his godly powers to stop everyone in the room, including Mr. Sinister, from killing Brian Braddock. And with him doing that, he makes everyone in the room take a knee. Now, the reason why Dr. Doom has stopped the battle is because he wants to interrogate the House of Braddock. And the reason why, because over the last couple of days, he had captured a bunch of thieves. And these thieves have apparently been working for somebody who wants to remove God Doom from his throne. And so with that, he has been interrogating them. And every single thief that he has captured, that he has interrogated, they told him the same piece of information, which is that they're working for somebody from the House of Braddock. And of course, to Dr. Doom, God Doom, that means it has to be one of the leaders of House of Braddock. And so he accused Brian Braddock to be the one who had hired thieves to find a way to remove Doctor Doom from his throne. And so with that, Doctor Doom, he wants to kill off the entire House of Braddock. And he was going to do it, but he was stopped by one lady. And that lady is Susan Storm, the Invisible Woman. Because in this new Earth, he's married to her. And matter of fact, the kids, Val and Franklin Richards, they're no longer Reed kids. In this new Earth, they're Doctor Doom kids. But with that being said, you have Susan tell her husband, her new husband, no, don't kill the entire family. Just banish one of them. Banish one of them. Banish Brian Braddock. And Doctor Doom was about to do that. But right before he had banished Brian Braddock, that is the moment you have Jamie Braddock, the brother of Brian Braddock, step in and say, no, it was me. It was me who hired the thieves who were trying to remove you, God Doom. And so with that, you have God Doom say, fine. If you're the one, you're banished. You're banished beyond the shield. And so just like that, everything was handled. But then we pick up with a conversation between Val Richards and Doctor Strange. And the reason why they're having this conversation is because it is Val Richards informing Doctor Strange about what her team found earlier. Because remember, earlier, some members of the Future Foundation, they found a ship. And they have no idea what kind of ship it is. Now, we know what kind of ship it is. It is a life raft. But they don't know that. And so with that being said, it's Val informing Doctor Strange about the ship. And he says that area needs to be quarantined. And they need to do some heavy research to learn more about the ship and what could possibly be inside that ship. Now, that is the moment you have Jonathan Hickman take us back over to Jamie Braddock, who was just banished by Doctor Doom. Now, when it comes to this new Earth, you do have the main kingdom, Doctor Doom's kingdom. Then you have smaller kingdoms around Doctor Doom's. Now, this is the moment you have Jonathan Hickman tell us that there's not a kingdom in every single part of the Earth. There's some parts of the Earth that are not normal. They're different. And those areas, they are not touched by Doctor Doom. Even though he could change them, he left those different areas there. Because if you mess up in his kingdom or in other kingdoms, you are banished to these different areas. And most of these areas, they're messed up. My prime example is basically you have Jamie Braddock going to an area that is full of zombies. And that right there should tell you that this area belongs to the Marvel Zombie Universe. And that is the moment you have Jonathan Hickman tell us what this new Earth is like, what it's all about. Now, before we are actually able to learn what this new Earth is like, you do have Jonathan Hickman jump back over to the Thors who were assigned to quarantine that spaceship that was found earlier in this video. And so when they go there to actually quarantine the place, that is the moment the spaceship opens up. Now, like I said earlier, we were left to believe that this life raft belonged to the heroes of the main Marvel universe who has survived the end of the multiverse. But we come to find out this is a different life raft, a different one that was made by somebody else. And that somebody else was the Cabal. And remember, the Cabal was with Reed Richards from the Ultimate Marvel Universe, better known as the Maker. And so with that, we come to find out the Maker, he had made a life raft for him and the Cabal to survive the end of the multiverse. But here comes the big thing though. The multiverse ended 8 years ago. This new Earth picks up 8 years after the end of the multiverse. And so the Cabal and the Maker, they have been inside the life raft for 8 years. But when they come out to a new Earth. And they have no idea what has gone on with this new Earth. But they do know one thing. There are a few Thors around this area they want to kill. And of course, they do kill almost every single Thor that was around this area. Now, you do have Thanos grab one of the members that was still alive that was sent here as a way to quarantine the place, because Thanos, he wants answers. He wants to know, what is this area all about? What is this planet? And you have this guy basically tell Thanos that this planet belongs to Doctor Doom, to God Doom, because God Doom made this planet. But then you have this guy tell us that this new Earth is actually called Battleworld. And that is the moment you have Jonathan Hickman reveal what Battleworld is going to be like. But that is the moment you have Jonathan Hickman tell us, what is Battleworld? What is this new Earth that Doctor Doom has made? And this is the moment we learn that Battleworld has different parts of the Marvel Multiverse brought together into one singular Earth. So one part of the Earth is the House of M universe. Another part of the Earth could be the Ultimate Marvel universe. Each part of this Earth, this new Earth, is a different universe that Marvel had explored over the years of Marvel Comics. But this is Battleworld. But then we jump over to Secret Wars number 3. Now, when we do, we actually pick up with Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange. Now, this meeting is very important because it is Jonathan Hickman kind of giving us some hints on how in the world Doctor Doom became God Doom. And what I mean is, you basically have Doctor Strange right now telling Doctor Doom every single problem that is happening right now across Battleworld. But that is the moment you have God Doom actually stop him. And the reason why, because you have God Doom remind Doctor Strange that he is a god, that he made this earth. And so he is aware of a lot of these problems because he is God Doom. Now, on top of that as well, you also have God Doom say, listen, if something pops up, I'll be able to handle it because of my power. Now, like I said earlier, this is the moment you have Jonathan Hickman kind of tell us or give us some information on how Doctor Doom became God Doom. Because he said the last time we saw Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, they were offered the power to become a god. But here comes the problem though. Doctor Strange was the person who was first offered the power to become a god, to become God Strange. But he turned that power down. And so the power went over to Doctor Doom, which of course made him God Doom. Now, there is something else I do want to mention. Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, they are the only two people on Battleworld that remember the old main Marvel universe. Everyone else does not remember at all, but Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, they do. But right before they're able to continue their conversation, well, that is the moment Doctor Strange gets word that something is going on. And so that alert that Doctor Strange got earlier, it was really him finding out that something happened at the Life Raft site. And so he goes over there to get information. And so you have the young Thor tell him everything he saw, which was the Cabal coming out of the ship and just killing all the Thors that were in their way. And of course, Thanos learned about how this world is called Battleworld, and Doctor Doom is the one in charge of this world. But of course, once they had killed all these different Thors except the young one, they had just disappeared. And so this is Doctor Strange saying, you need to go out there and find them, because I feel like this is going to bring a lot of problems. But when you do find them, bring them back here alive, not dead, alive, because knowing God Doom, he is going to have a lot of questions. But after you have all the different Thors fly away to find the Cabal, that is the moment you have Doctor Strange call out to somebody that was still inside the Life Raft. And that person was no other than Miles Morales. Now, this is huge because at this point in Marvel Comics, Doctor Strange has never met Miles Morales because Miles was in the Ultimate Marvel universe. And apparently, before the Maker and the Cabal were able to escape the death of the multiverse, Miles Morales snuck on as well, and they never knew that he was on there. Now, this is the big moment because then you have Miles mention the death of the multiverse, the death of the Ultimate Marvel universe. And when he says that, you have Doctor Strange realize that Miles Morales is not from this new Earth that Doctor Doom has made, that Miles is from a dead universe that was destroyed. And so now he also remembers everything that took place before the new Earth. But then we jump over to this conversation that takes place between Doctor Doom and Susan Doom. And the reason why, because we learn two things. The first thing is that we learn that Johnny Storm actually tried to stand up to Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom wanted to kill him. But you had Susan kind of beg her husband to give Johnny Storm an easier punishment. And so what Doctor Doom did was he made Johnny Storm the son of Battleworld. Now, with that being said, we then learn that Doctor Doom is having some doubts about being a god, because when it comes to most gods, people don't see those gods. We pray to those gods, but you don't actually see them. And so Doctor Doom feels like he would be better off staying away from his people. He should have stayed away from his people. He should have made Battleworld, but never gave his people the ability to actually see him. But you didn't have Susan say, no, you need to let them see you so they know that they have a God that actually cares for them. They have a God that wants to protect them. They have a God that loves them. So why stay away when you can show them that you actually truly care for them? Now things get even crazier because after Doctor Strange basically finding the life raft that belongs to the Cabal and the Maker, and of course finding Miles Morales, you have Doctor Strange tell us that he found a second life raft. But he found this second one 3 years earlier than the first one we saw. And so with him saying that, he had kept this other life raft hidden from God Doom all these years. For 3 years, he kept this extra life raft hidden. And the reason why? Because he knew that something inside that life raft could possibly change how Battleworld could become. And so when he does open up the life raft, well, that is the moment he reveals the main Marvel Universe heroes. They did survive after the death of the multiverse, and they've been inside that life raft for about 8 years. And so, with all that being said, though, when they come out and they see Doctor Strange, they're like, where are we? What's going on? What happened? And you have Doctor Strange say, you are on Battleworld. Battleworld was made by the god of this earth. And then you have Reed Richards, who was also on the life raft, ask, who is in charge of Battleworld? Who is the god of this world? And you have Doctor Strange say, it is Doctor Doom. Victor Von Doom is God Doom. Now, when the heroes from the main Marvel universe hear that, they're like, you let Victor Von Doom become God? Why in the world would you do that? Why? And you have Doctor Strange say, because Victor Von Doom plays a really good God. And that is why. But then we jump over to the Cabal, because remember, after they had exited their life raft and then began the process of killing all those Thors, they began the process to just wandering around the battle world to learn more about it. But while they're kind of just hanging out near a campfire, you have some members of the Cabal basically tell Thanos that they should have captured of Thor to learn more about this Battleworld. But that is the moment you have Thanos say, don't worry, because all of our answers to our questions are coming very soon. And you have members of the Cabal like, what do you mean, Thanos? And that is the moment he says, look up. And when they do look up, they are surrounded by the Thor corpse, because they were sent by Doctor Strange to capture the Cabal. And so right now, we're about to see the Cabal fight against the Thor corpse. But this Okay, so to continue our coverage over Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, we actually pick up with Secret Wars number 4. Now, with that being said, this book actually picks up where our last video left off at. Now, with that being said, at the end of our last video, let's not forget that what happened was the Thor Corps had found Thanos and the Cabal. Because remember, Doctor Strange, who is kind of like the right-hand man for God Doom on this new Earth, had sent the Thor Corps to go capture Thanos and the Cabal. And so at the very end of our last video, the Thor Corps was able to find the Cabal. Now remember, the Thor Corps is basically like a Thor police force. So meaning that you have all these different versions of Thors out there right now attacking Thanos and the Cabal. But here's the thing though. This is Thanos. This is the Black Order. It is the Maker. Maximus the Mad. These characters are able to wipe the floor with all these different Thors. And even though they're trying their best and they're sending in waves after waves, it doesn't even matter because the Thor Corps does not stand a chance against Thanos and the Cabal. But then we jump over to Doctor Strange, who is right now with the heroes who have survived the collapse of the multiverse, including Miles Morales. And remember, Miles Morales at this point in Marvel Comics is not from the main Marvel Universe. He is from the Ultimate Marvel Universe. But with that being said, though, right now, our heroes, they still can't believe what Doctor Strange had told them earlier, that Victor Von Doom, aka Doctor Doom, is better known as God Doom because he was able to get a power of a god and make this new Earth. And so our heroes can't believe that had happened. Now, of course, that is the moment you have Doctor Strange tell us once again that there was a moment where him and Doctor Doom were both offered the chance to become a god. But Doctor Strange felt like the power of a god would be too much for him to handle. And so he let Doctor Doom take up that power. And of course, we know what happened. Doctor Doom became a god. And that right there is very huge to say. Now, you do have Cyclops bring up one good point because he says, listen, if you were also offered the chance to become a god, but you did not take up that offer and you let someone else become a god and that person made the earth that you're living on right now, but you do realize if you had that power, you could make a better earth, then why haven't you just stopped Victor Von Doom, take that power away, and then make a new Earth? Because if you feel like you made the wrong choice by letting Victor Von Doom take that power and he made this, and you know you could make a better one, then why didn't you stop him? Why haven't you stopped him yet? That is a very big question. But that's also the moment you basically have Doctor Strange get an alert that something is going on. And of course, it needs his attention. But getting back over to the Thors who are right now fighting against Thanos and the Cabal, they're still losing. They do not stand a chance at all against Thanos and the Cabal. But either way though, right now you have one last Thor begin the process of praying. And matter of fact, the Maker and Maximus the Mad, they see this and they're wondering who in the world this last Thor is praying to. But of course, this last Thor, he's not really praying to survive. He's basically sending a message over to Victor Von Doom, God Doom, to tell him, hey God, we need your help because right now your police force is getting wrecked. There is nothing we can do. We need your help. And of course, that message is received by God Doom. Now, of course, you would think that God Doom would just go over there and end things right off the bat, but instead he doesn't. Matter of fact, what he does is you have him and Valerie watch the fight from their castle. And while they're watching the fight, they're seeing who in the world is fighting against the Thors. And of course, for Victor Von Doom, he sees Thanos and he sees the Cabal, and he realized that these people must have come from the old main Marvel universe. They're not from this new Earth. And so with that being said, it's Doctor Doom at first thinking that there is a possibility that he should go out there and stop this. But that's also the moment you have Doctor Strange arrive at the battle with the heroes from the main Marvel universe who has survived the collapse of the multiverse. Now, of course, when you have Doctor Doom still watching this fight, he realized that Doctor Strange has brought other heroes from their past. But of course, there's one hero that bothers Doctor Doom. One hero he was hoping he would never see again. And that hero is the original Reed Richards from the main Marvel universe. And so right now, this right here, it makes Doctor Doom very concerned, because there is one person who has the ability to bring down this new Earth and possibly ruin all the plans of God Doom. And that person is Reed Richards. Now, of course, you do have Victor Von Doom just teleport over to where all the heroes are at, including the Cabal. And as soon as he arrives, he calls out for Reed Richards. Now, you do have the Maker get confused, because remember, the Maker is actually Ultimate Reed Richards from the Ultimate Marvel Universe. So when Doctor Doom calls out for Richards, he's all like, wait a second, is he calling out for me? Because I have no idea who that guy is at all. But you didn't have Maximus the Mask say, nah, man, he ain't calling out for you. He's calling out for that Reed, because these two guys, yeah, they got some beef. So basically right now, we're going to see Doctor Doom get very angry because his old rival is here once again. And so instantly you have Reed Richards just flat out say that having Victor Von Doom as God Doom on the throne is one of the worst ideas ever. Now, of course, you also have Thanos chime in, because when Victor Von Doom said like he was the best choice to become a god because he was king for so long of Latveria, that of course he was the best choice to become a god. But you have Thanos kind of like, if you're a god, then you would not be shy to say that you are God. You've been here for a short period of time and you have not said anything about you being a god. Now, you do have Victor Von Doom tell everyone that he is a god, and then he shows everyone the powers he has as a god. But with that being said, though, you didn't have Cyclops believe that he'll be the one to actually stop Victor Von Doom. And the reason why, because Cyclops is right now the Phoenix. Because remember, at the very beginning of Secret Wars, Cyclops had a Phoenix egg, which of course made him turn into the Phoenix. Now also remember that when it comes to the Phoenix, it represents the life force energy across the multiverse. And so as long as there is life across the multiverse, the Phoenix will be around. And so with that, it's kind of like, yeah, the Phoenix is a very powerful being. And right now, Cyclops can use that power to hopefully stop Victor Von Doom, God Doom. And at first, it does look like Cyclops may win, but that is the moment you have Victor Von Doom show everyone that he is more powerful than the Phoenix by grabbing Cyclops and killing him. And that right there is huge. And here comes the big moment of this chapter of Secret Wars, because right after the death of the Phoenix, you have Doctor Strange realize that the rest of the heroes and the Cabal, they do not stand a chance at all against Doctor Doom or God Doom. And so what he does next is he teleports them away to keep them safe. Now, of course, you do have God Doom demand Doctor Strange to tell him where in the world did he teleport all those heroes and the Cabal to. But Doctor Strange says, no, I am not going to tell you at all. Now, of course, Doctor Doom does tell Doctor Strange that he should be very worried because him and Doctor Strange work together to make this new Earth, to keep this new Earth together. And with the heroes from the main Marvel Universe surviving, including Reed Richards, they are going to break this new Earth apart just to get back the main Marvel Universe. But then you have Doctor Strange say, yes, he is going to. But the thing is, I did not tell him one important piece of information about you, which is that you have his family. That basically you use your powers to replace him and be the father to his kids, the husband to his wife. Once he finds out that you stole his family, he'll definitely try his best to bring this Earth down and to bring back the original main Marvel Universe Earth. And that right there, it makes Doctor Strange very angry. And so he kills off Doctor Strange with a snap of his fingers. Now, when we jump into Secret Wars number 5, we actually do pick up with right now the funeral of Doctor Strange. Now, with this funeral, everyone knows that Doctor Strange was killed, but they have no idea that he was actually killed off by Doctor Doom. And so while this funeral is going on, you have a lot of people coming over to Doctor Doom to make sure that he is okay, because everyone believed that him and Doctor Strange were close friends. And so with that being said, no one knows that Doctor Doom was the one that killed Doctor Strange. And so this funeral is going on with the idea that Doctor Strange was murdered, but of course, no one knows who actually murdered him. And so right now you have everyone saying, we are going to find the person who had killed you, Doctor Strange. But then later that night, we do see a conversation go on between Val Richards and Victor Von Doom. Now, this conversation is actually very important. And the reason why? Because it is basically Val Richards questioning her father. She does not believe him at all, because to her it's kind of like none of this is adding up. You teleported over there to help out your friend, to fight against those characters we saw together before you left. And somehow those other characters were able to kill off Doctor Strange, your close friend. And then they teleported away and now you can't find them? Like, none of this is adding up. But of course, Victor Von Doom continues to lie. And he's hoping that she'll believe him. And he says, listen, you must go out there and find them and bring them here. Because if I go out there, my anger could possibly destroy this earth. And so I need you, a more calm person, to go out there and find them and bring them here to me. And of course, she says yes, and she leaves. But then we see Victor Von Doom go down a secret passageway that he had hidden from everybody else. Now, at the end of that tunnel, we actually do see Victor Von Doom being confronted by the Molecule Man. And this is huge because the Molecule Man played a very important role at the very end of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers. But after Secret Wars had begun, we really haven't seen him at all. We see him in flashbacks, but that is it. And so now we know where he was at this whole time. He was hidden inside the new Earth that Victor Von Doom has made. Now remember, when it comes to the Molecule Man, he was made by the Beyonders to be a bomb. Every single version of him across the multiverse, they were all made to be a bomb to go off and destroy the universe that they're part of. And this Molecule Man was the one from the main Marvel universe. And so with that being said, he was supposed to be the bomb for that universe, to be set off by the Beyonders to blow up the main Marvel universe. But him and Doctor Doom began the process of working together and going around and killing other versions of him across the multiverse as a way to slow down the Beyonders, but to use the energy of other versions of the Molecule Man for something big to do to the Beyonders. Now, this is also the moment you have Victor Von Doom tell the Molecule Man that Doctor Strange is dead. And of course, you do have the Molecule Man wonder, how in the world did Doctor Strange die? But then this leads into the book telling us how in the world Victor Von Doom got his God power. Because remember, at the end of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange, and the Molecule Man, they went to go confront the Beyonders to hopefully stop them. Now remember, the Beyonders are very powerful. They have the ability to wipe out almost anything in their path, including Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom as well. But remember, at the end of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, the only thing we saw at the very end was a bright light, and we were left to believe that somehow the Beyonders were able to just wipe out Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange like it was nothing. But we come to find out that wasn't the case at all, because what happened was Doctor Doom and the Black Swans, the whole time, they have been going around and capturing other versions of the Molecule Man. And because every single version of the Molecule Man is just a bomb, they put all those bombs in one container to make a super bomb. And so when the Beyonders came to confront Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, they used that bomb as a way to kill off the Beyonders. Now, with them killing off the Beyonders, all their powers have to go to somebody. And again, remember, Doctor Strange told us that he had the chance to take that power to become God Doctor Strange, but he didn't want to do that. And so that power went over to Doctor Doom instead. And so that is how Doctor Doom became God Doom. Now, to go ahead and close on the 5th issue of Secret Wars, we actually do see Val Richards meeting up with the members of the Future Foundation. Now, remember, the Future Foundation before Secret Wars was a group of children that were brought together by Reed Richards to be part of his think tank, because he believed those children had the ability to make great inventions. Now, with that being said, with New Earth, we have no idea what they exactly do. They kind of go around exploring different things across the New Earth. But either way, you have Val Richards and the Future Foundation agree to work together and to go around and find the heroes and the Cabal, the characters from before the collapse of the multiverse, and bring them over to her father. The thing is, though, all those characters, they were teleported by Doctor Strange to different locations all over the New Earth. And so they got a lot of work to do if they're going to bring every single one of them back over to Victor Von Doom. Now, we do pick up with Secret Wars number 6. Now, with Secret Wars number 6, it does pick up 3 weeks after the last issue we just covered in this video. And so in 3 weeks, Valerie Richards and the Future Foundation were only good enough to capture 2 of the characters who survived the collapse of the multiverse. And so those 2 characters are, of course, 2 members of the Cabal, original members of the Black Order. Proximus Midnight and Corvus Glaive were captured by Valerie and the Future Foundation, and they were brought over to Doctor Doom. Now, of course, you do have Doctor Doom getting very upset because he wants to know where the rest of the characters are at right now, especially when it comes to Reed Richards. But of course, you have Valerie Richards tell Doctor Doom that they're having a hard time finding these other characters. Now, we also do learn the Black Swan has joined Doctor Doom's side. Now, remember, when it came to the Black Swans across the multiverse, multiverse. They were a religion. They believed in a god, and that god was actually Dr. Doom, because him and the Molecule Man went back in time to start this religion, to have the Black Swans help Dr. Doom go across the multiverse and kill almost every single version of the Molecule Man across the multiverse. But with all that being said, this Black Swan broke away because she lost her belief in Dr. Doom. But now she sees what Dr. Doom was able to do when he became God Doom. He made a new Earth. He was able to save a few people from the multiverse. And so now she's falling back in line under her God, Dr. Doom. And so right now she's here to help him and to hopefully find the rest of the characters. But of course, they're having a hard time finding these other characters. Now, we do pick up with the Future Foundation, and the reason why, because they're talking to Valerie Richards, and she's hoping that they do have some kind of good news to tell her. But at the same time, she also tells the Future Foundation that she believes that she has been lied to by her father. But of course, she's afraid to say that, but she wants to get all the evidence she can to prove that her father is lying to her. Now, of course, we do come to find out the Future Foundation have began the process of trying to figure out what is the source of God Doom's power. Where is he getting his power from? And right now, they have been able to get a location, and they tell Valerie, you're standing on it. Now, before they're able to explain more of that, that is the moment they tell us that they found some kind of weird devices across the world, and they have no idea where these devices are coming from. But of course, they are being made by somebody, and that somebody is looking for someone or something, but we have no idea what or who. Now we come to find out those devices were made by no other than Reed and Reed. Yes, the ultimate Marvel Reed Richards and the main Marvel Reed Richards are now working together to figure out how in the world did Victor Von Doom get his powers, and how can they stop him and hopefully save this Earth or recreate the multiverse. Now, of course, here comes the big difference between these two characters. When it comes to Ultimate Reed Richards, like I said in one of our earlier videos, he used to be a good guy at the very beginning of Ultimate Marvel, but then he turned bad, then back to good, and then back to bad once again. And so he's down to killing off Doom. He's down to killing a god. But when it comes to Reed, Reed is all like, no, we cannot do that. We cannot kill a god. I am not ready to kill a god just yet. And so this shows how different these two characters are. And matter of fact, these two characters, they realize that they're different from one another. There's a huge difference between the two of them. Now, this is the moment you actually have the maker, aka Ultimate Reed Richards, use something as a way to push the main Marvel Universe Reed Richards. And that push is actually showing him that Victor Von Doom is married to Susan Storm, and their kids is Val and Franklin Richards. And so now this is the main Marvel Reed Richards learning that his family has now become Victor Von Doom's family. Now, we do come to find out that Peter Parker and Miles Morales, they were actually sent by Reed Richards to find the source of Victor Von Doom's God power. And so, of course, thanks to some tech, they were able to actually figure out where the power is coming from. But when they get there, they can't find the passageway that actually leads to the power source of Victor Von Doom that makes him God Doom. Now, of course, that is the moment you have Valerie Richards appear, and she says, don't worry, I know where to go. There's a trap door right there. And that trap door actually leads over to the source of my father's powers. Now, you do have the Spider-Mans actually ask her if she's going to go with them to figure out what is making her father God Doom. And she says no, but she does have one question. Are they the people that had killed her friend, Doctor Strange? And of course, you have Miles and Peter Parker say, no, We did not kill him. It was someone else. And that was enough for her to believe them and open the trap door so that they're able to figure out what in the world makes Victor Von Doom God Doom. Now, once Peter Parker and Miles Morales walk down this staircase, they do find the Molecule Man. Now, at first, the Molecule Man, his main concern is only asking them, hey, did you bring me something to eat? Because I am starving. And of course, you have Peter Parker like, no, because we didn't think that there'll be someone down here, as a way to say this is a source of Victor Von Doom's power. But of course, you didn't have Miles Morales say, hey, I have a hamburger. It's been in my pocket this whole time ever since we arrived on New Earth, which means that that burger is 8 years and 3 weeks old. But either way, the Molecule Man actually eats it. And after eating it, he was able to tell Peter Parker and Miles Morales that the source of Victor Von Doom's power, God Doom's power, is him. The Molecule Man is the power source of God Doom's power. But then we pick up with the meeting going on between Victor Von Doom and all the kings and queens of the different kingdoms across this world. And right now you have them talking about this prophet, this person who's making an army to attack the main kingdom of Victor Von Doom. Now, we have no idea who this prophet is, but this prophet was able to get people on his side to build his army. And so sooner or later, this army is going to attack the main kingdom, Victor Von Doom's kingdom. And that right there does kind of concern Victor Von Doom. And so he does tell the other kings and queens of their kingdoms to basically go out there and stop this guy. And hopefully they do it soon, because sooner or later there is going to be a war in the main kingdom of Victor Von Doom's. Now, we do get this one page where we kind of find out that technically when it comes to the kingdom that belongs to Mr. Sinister, he's no longer the one in charge. And matter of fact, the one who's in charge is Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, because remember, she did survive the collapse of the multiverse by being on the life raft. But after Doctor Strange had teleported people across the world, she was teleported over to the kingdom that belongs to Mr. Sinister. And apparently she's now taking over, and they have some weird love thing going on. It seems like it's kind of weird. But then we pick up with Black Panther and Namor. And I found this very interesting. And the reason why, because throughout the entire run of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, these two guys hated one another. But now they're being forced to work together if they're going to actually stop Victor Von Doom. Now we come to find out that these two characters were able to find the hidden island that belonged to Doctor Strange. Now inside this island, inside that temple, he was holding different artifacts that could help someone bring down Victor Von Doom. And of course, you have Namor find the first artifact. Now, while you have the AI system explain every single artifact, the first artifact, we only get to learn a tad bit about it. And the first thing we learn is that the artifact has the ability to teleport anyone anywhere. But of course, right before we are able to learn more about that artifact, that is the moment you have Black Panther freak out. And the reason why Black Panther is freaking out is because what he found. And what he found is the Infinity Gauntlet. Something very powerful and could possibly stop Doctor Doom. But then we dive into a bedtime story. Yes, a bedtime story that is being told by Susan Storm to her son, Franklin Storm. Now, this bedtime story is kind of the origin of this new Earth. And some facts are true and some facts are not true. What I mean is that you have Susan tell Franklin that when it came to the birth of the Fantastic Four and this universe, what happened was you had 4 people go into space. They were hit with cosmic waves and they came right back down. And of course, you still had Ben Grimm, you still had Susan Storm, and you still had Johnny Storm. The only difference was you did not have Reed Richards. And so to replace him, it was actually Susan and Johnny's father, Franklin Storm, who became the Mr. Fantastic of that team. Now, of course, she does tell us that there was a point the Earth was about to be destroyed. but then it wasn't. But the problem was, after the Earth was almost destroyed, there were a bunch of wars happening all over the place. In one of our battles, your grandfather died, but we almost also died as well. But that was the moment we were saved by your father, Victor Von Doom. He appeared and stopped the wars across the world. He was able to make this world peaceful like it is right now. And that is how I met your father. And you're kind of like, some of that is true and some of that is fake. But you know what? Let's go ahead and move on. Now, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video, because we actually pick up with Thanos. Now, right now, Thanos is talking to somebody. And at first, you would think that he's talking to some guards, because right now, Thanos is locked up. But he's not actually talking to the guards. He's actually talking to Ben Grimm, the Thing. Because right now, Ben Grimm was made into some kind of prison to hold different prisoners inside. And so right now you have Thanos telling Ben Grimm that this world, this reality is fake. And matter of fact, in the original reality, Ben Grimm was something special, something more important than being some kind of prison system. And so that is the moment you have Thanos actually make Ben Grimm decide to turn his back on Victor Von Doom. And when I say turn his back, I mean that now Ben Grimm is angry to learn that this world, this reality is all fake. And there is a reality where Ben Grimm actually matters more than he does in this reality. And so Ben Grimm is about to attack the castle of Victor Von Doom, God Doom. And this is where Okay, guys, so for today's comic book video, we are going to wrap up our coverage over Secret Wars. And so with that being said, we're going to start off with Secret Wars number 7. Now, with Secret Wars number 7, it actually opens up with the False Prophet. Now, remember, the False Prophet was a character introduced to us in our last video, a character who was going around the Kingdom of Doom recruiting people to turn their back on Dr. Doom. And so this False Prophet was able to build an army of people who no longer trust Dr. Doom as their god. And so in the opening pages of this book, we actually see that army attacking the Kingdom of Doom. But we also get the chance to learn who is this false prophet. And we kind of find out it was Maximus the Mad. Because remember, Maximus the Mad was one of the characters who has survived the collapse of the multiverse to arrive to this new Earth that was created by Dr. Doom, by God Doom. And so right now, it's Maximus the Mad making his army try to fight through the kingdom of Dr. Doom to hopefully bring him down. Now, inside the castle of Dr. Doom, we do see that he does know that his castle is under attack, but he's not going to do anything at all. And the reason why, because you have the Black Swan actually tell Dr. Doom that she has sent out their army to fight against Maximus the Mad army. But while the two armies are fighting against one another, we do see that Dr. Doom is very upset that there are people in his kingdom that wish that he was no longer king. Now, you do have the Invisible Woman try to calm him down, because remember, in this new Earth, they're married in this new Earth. But either way, you do have her try to calm down her husband. And the reason why, because she says, listen, sooner or later, we knew this was going to happen, because when it comes to people, they will always try to fight against someone who has authority over them. And because you're their God, because you have authority over them, it was only sooner or later that they were going to fight against you. Now, you do have Val Richards tell her mom that she's wrong, that this battle between the two armies, something feels different. Something feels like something big is going to come. And of course, God Doom also realized that. And so he tells his family to call in the Thor Corps. And remember, the Thor Corps is basically a bunch of Thors who are the police force for God Doom. Now, Dr. Doom is right. Something is different about this war. Now, remember, in our last video, Dr. Doom did ask all the kings and queens from the different kingdoms across the world to come here and to help protect his kingdom from the army of the false prophet. But here comes the big problem, though. One of those kings or queens will betray Dr. Doom. And obviously, it's a clear choice who it is. It's Mr. Sinister. Because remember, earlier in our coverage of Secret Wars, he was secretly working on trying to take over the kingdom that belongs to the Braddock family. And so with that, he was trying, but he was stopped by Dr. Doom. But here he is right now betraying Dr. Doom by having his army fight against the other armies of the kings and queens. And of course, he does take out Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, one of the many kings and queens that was under Dr. Doom. Now, with that being said, though, he is also stopped by Apocalypse, because Apocalypse has his own kingdom. But Apocalypse wants to know what in the world is Mr. Sinister up to. And there is something else wrong with this war, because when the Thors arrive, you would think the Thors would basically help out God Doom. Because remember, when it comes to the Thors, they're basically God Doom's police force. But the Thors are not here to help out God Doom. Matter of fact, they're here to fight against God Doom. And that is huge. And the reason why, because if we jump back just a few moments ago, before this war had actually started, we actually pick up with the Thors fighting against one another. And the reason why they're fighting against one another is because Jane Foster. Because remember, Jane Foster was one of the many Thors, or one of the many characters, that has survived the collapse of the multiverse, meaning that she knows that this Earth is a fake Earth that was made by God Doom. And she told all the Thors about where she came from, that she came from an Earth that is no longer around, an Earth that used to exist before the collapse of the multiverse. And then she told the Thors everything else she knows about God Doom and this Earth. And of course, it did start a civil war between the Thors, because you have some Thors who actually do believe her, but you have other Thors who do not believe her. They still believe in God Doom. And so now you have a civil war between the Thors. Now, you do have one Thor tell Jane Foster to take some of the Thors that did believe her and go fight against God Doom, while the rest of the Thors who did believe her try to hold back the ones who did not believe her, so that she'll have enough time to hopefully bring down God Doom. Now, this war has gone full on crazy, because now you have all these different fractions fighting against one another. I said fractions, I mean factions. But you have all these different factions fighting against one another. You have the army of God Doom. You have the army of Maximus the Mad. You have the army of Apocalypse. You even have the army of Mr. Sinister. And you also have the Thors there as well. All these different factions are fighting against one another. And all you see God Doom do is just watch this war happen right in front of his kingdom. But things only get worse, because then you have all the characters look up in the sky and they see a helicarrier and they're like, okay, a helicarrier, cool. But usually when you see a helicarrier, it's usually being controlled by Nick Fury or somebody from S.H.I.E.L.D. But this time, it's not. Matter of fact, it's being controlled by a certain Hulk. And this Hulk is Maestro. Now remember, Maestro comes from a different universe where he is one of the last superpower beings in that universe, or in that universe Earth, because the rest of the heroes had died. Now this Hulk, he does have some intelligence inside of him. He's able to communicate very easily. But then you have him say, World Breaker Hulks, go. And that is the moment you see all these different Hulks just jump out of the helicarrier to join the big battle in front of God Doom's castle. But then we pick up with Ultimate Reed Richards and main Marvel Universe Reed Richards. Because remember, they have been working together to figure out how can they stop God Doom. And so right now you have them tell us with the war going on, God Doom and all his people on his side will be too distracted while they sneak around him to steal something very valuable from him to hopefully stop him. And so they need the war to last just a little bit longer so that they can sneak by and get something that belongs to God Doom. Now you do have Ultimate Reed Richards say that war, that big battle, is not going to last that long like main Marvel Universe Reed thinks it will. But you didn't have Reed say, don't worry, I have a backup plan. And that is the moment he calls up T'Challa. Now the reason why he calls up T'Challa is because T'Challa has built his own army as well. And it seems like this army is about to go join that big battle to continue that battle long enough for Reeds, or both Reeds and Star-Lord, to sneak by Doctor Doom to steal his most valuable thing. And so you have T'Challa and Namor say goodbye to Reed Richards because they know that there is a huge possibility that they're going to die. But then this leads into one of the coolest moments for Black Panther. And the reason why I say that is because you have Black Panther and Namor say they need more people. They need an army. And that is the moment he throws these little balls that were basically grenades to break down a wall that was in front of them. Now this wall that was in front of them was holding something back. And that something was the Marvel zombies. Because remember, when it came to this new Earth that was made by God Doom, there are pieces of this Earth that belong to a different universe from the multiverse. And so behind this wall right here, this part of the Earth was holding on to the Marvel Zombies universe. But that is not the cool moment. What is the cool moment is you have Black Panther being able to control the zombies, to tell them to follow his orders, to follow behind him, to become his army. And the reason why that is possible, because in the earlier books of Marvel Comics, when it came to T'Challa, he was crowned King of the Dead. And so with him having that crown, that means that he was able to control these Marvel zombies. And so now he's able to use them as his army to go fight against God Doom. Now, when we jump into the 8th issue of Secret Wars, we actually pick up with the Reeds trying to go through with their plan. They're trying to sneak around the war that's keeping God Doom busy long enough so that they can steal his most valuable item. But here comes the big problem though, because while they're trying to sneak around the battle, of course, a random Hulk hits their jet. And of course, that means that their jet could crash down sooner or later. But then you have Jonathan Hickman continue to show us that things are about to get even crazier, because now we pick up with Ben Grimm. Now remember, Ben Grimm was convinced by Thanos at the end of our last video that this world is fake, that this world was made by God Doom. But with Ben Grimm learning that, it made Ben Grimm realize he does not want this life at all. And the reason why, because let's not forget, when it came to God Doom, he made Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, become the sun. But when it came to Ben Grimm, he made Ben Grimm the wall around the castle, but also the prison that keeps prisoners inside of. And so with that, you have Ben Grimm say, no, in my other life that Thanos told me about, it sounds so much better than the life I have right now. And so you have Ben Grimm attacking the castle of Doom. And it's Ben Grimm angry. But this is Jonathan Hickman saying, no, this craziness, this crazy train is not done just yet. Because while you have Ben Grimm attacking the castle of Doom, that is the moment you have Galactus appear. And this is huge because Dr. Doom, or God Doom, was able to use his godly powers to control Galactus. And so now you have Galactus fighting against giant-sized Ben Grimm. This story is getting crazy. getting back over to the Reeds and Star-Lord, we do come to find out that they are okay after their jet had crashed down. Now, of course, you do have the Reeds continue their goal to figure out where is this most valuable item that belongs to God Doom that could possibly help them bring God Doom down. But with that being said, you do have Ultimate Reed Richards tell Star-Lord to fix their ship their jet, because they may need it after they're able to grab the item that they're looking for. But then you have Jonathan Hickman say, hey, you know what? This story hasn't got crazy enough yet. Let's add a little bit more crazy stuff into this storyline. And so that is the moment you have Thanos appear. And Thanos appears with his own army to add into this big battle. It's getting even crazier. But this leads into the death of Ben Grimm. And what I mean is that we see Ben Grimm trying to fight against Galactus. And we knew that there is no way Ben Grimm could survive against Galactus. There is no way. But Ben Grimm, he was going to try to stop Galactus. But then he realized he should just stop fighting. And the reason why, because the person who is in control of Galactus is Franklin Von Doom. And the reason why Ben Grimm stopped fighting after he saw Franklin is because this is the moment you have Franklin Von Doom tell Ben Grimm that he is the son of Susan Storm or Susan Von Doom, because Ben Grimm and Susan, they haven't talked in years. So Ben Grimm had no idea that his old friend had children. And so when he learned that Franklin Richards or Franklin Von Doom is the son of Susan Storm, you have Ben Grimm just stop, because he feels like he is not going to fight against the children of his old friend. And so with that, Galactus kills Ben Grimm right there. Now, this hurts Susan so much because even though Susan hasn't talked to Ben Grimm in so long, that was still her friend. And so to watch her friend be killed by Galactus, who is being controlled by her own son, she just can't take it. We see how sad she is. But that is the moment you have Valerie Richards tell Susan Storm to come with her. She says, Mom, do you trust me? And you have Susan say, yes, I do trust you. And so you have Valerie say, that I need to show you something very important. Then you have Jonathan Hickman continue to make this story even crazier, because that is the moment we jump back over to Star-Lord. Now you have Star-Lord trying to fix the jet that brought him and the Reeds over to Castle Doom. But while he's trying to work on the jet, that is the moment you have the Black Swan appear. And remember, by this point, the Black Swan, she is working for Dr. Doom. But when she appears, she's all like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and kill you off because clearly you are a threat to my Lord, to my God. And so you have Black Swan begin the process of beating down on Star-Lord. But that is the moment you have Star-Lord say, hold up, I am not going to go down that easily. And so he shows her a piece of wood. And you're kind of like, okay, a piece of wood. What in the world is going to happen next? And that is the moment you have Groot appear. And Groot appears very angry. And so he begins the process of attacking the Black Swan. And so now Groot is here in this big battle. But then we jump back over to Susan and Valerie. Now, with those two characters right there, they do tell us that Groot was the world tree, the tree that Dr. Doom was sitting in certain points of this storyline. But honestly, that is not important. What is important is you have Valerie and Susan continue to walk deeper into Castle Doom. And the reason why? Because Valerie is trying to show Susan where God Doom powers comes from. But while they're on their way over to that location, Well, they run into the main Marvel Universe Reed. Now, when it comes to Valerie, when it comes to Susan, they have no idea about Reed. They seen him because God Doom has been looking for him, but they have no idea that before God Doom made this earth, they were a family. They have no idea. But Reed, he does. He's kind of like, yep, I knew this was going to happen sooner or later. But then this leads into one of the best conversations of this whole storyline, because then you have God Doom and Thanos have a conversation. Now, how the conversation goes is amazing, because you have God Doom actually walk up to Thanos and he's kind of like, hey, Thanos, I know you did all of this to basically be one of my kings in one of my different kingdoms around the world. If you want that, I will give it to you. But then you have Thanos like, bruh, did you actually think that's what I want? That I actually want to become one of your kings in your kingdom? No, I did not want that at all. I came here to tell you that you are a horrible god, because to Thanos, a god should only be judging people, not out there trying to be nice to the people or trying to make the people's lives better. Instead, a god should only judge people, and that is it. Now, when it comes to Thanos, he actually thinks that he can bring down God Doom. He's like, listen, I don't need any other powerful artifact to actually stop you, God Doom. I can stop you on my own. And that is the moment you have God Doom tell Thanos, man, you gone messed up. If you actually think that you can stop me without any powerful artifact, bruh, you messed up. And that is the moment you have God Doom literally rip out the spine of Thanos, killing Thanos right then and there. And you're kind of like, this just got real. Now, you would think that this story couldn't get even crazier, but it does, because that is the moment you have everyone realize that there is a bright light coming from somewhere. And the question is, though, from where? But that is the moment you have everyone look over and they see some kind of door opening up, some kind of portal. And of course, you do have some characters walk through that portal. And those characters is Black Panther and Namor. But the reason why this is so huge, because Black Panther is wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, hoping that it will be just enough to actually stop God Doom. And so we finally reached the ending, the big ending, the one that wraps up Secret Wars. But we have to pick up with God Doom about to fight against Black Panther. Black Panther, who's holding the Infinity Gauntlet. It's about to go down. But with that being said, though, at first you have Dr. Doom tried to reason with Black Panther and Namor, because back before the multiverse was destroyed, before he made his new Earth, Black Panther, Namor, and Dr. Doom, they were all kings of different kingdoms across the Marvel Universe. And so it's Dr. Doom trying to reason with them, saying, listen, you know what it's like to be in charge. You know what it's like to be a king. And so you should know, or you should actually try to sit down and think, what are the expectations for someone when they become a god? It's even harder than it is when you're just a king. And so it's him trying to reason with Black Panther, to reason with Namor. But of course, Black Panther is not hearing it, because he knows that God Doom needs to go away. God Doom needs to be stopped. And so with that, you have the battle actually begin. And at first, it does seem like Black Panther and Namor were able to defeat Dr. Doom by using the Infinity Gauntlet. But of course, this is God Doom. He cannot be stopped so easily. And so this battle is about to get even more interesting. But while you have Dr. Doom and Black Panther fighting against one another, you actually have a conversation going on between Reed and Sue. Now, this conversation is very important, because when it comes to Reed, he's all like, yes, it's me, Reed Richards. But you have no idea who I am, because when Dr. Doom made this new Earth, he did not make me. He didn't want to bring me to life. And so you have no idea who I am. But of course, you have Susan tell Reed that she does know him, but only because she saw his picture when Dr. Doom was very upset that he was back in this new world. But with that, you have Susan and Valerie ask Reed, who is he? What does he want? Now, this is hard for Reed because this is his wife. This is his daughter. But of course, in this new earth, they belong to Dr. Doom. That's his wife. That's his daughter. And so it's hard for Reed to have this conversation. But he tells her, I'm Reed Richards, and I'm somebody who fixes things. I am going to fix all of this. You're kind of like, oh, you're going to fix all of this? How, Reed? How are you going to fix all of this? But of course, he is going to. Now, you do have the Reeds continue to go down the path of trying to find the most valuable item that belongs to Dr. Doom, that belongs to God Doom. And that valuable item is, of course, what makes Dr. Doom God Doom, where his power source is coming from. And we know what it is. We know what makes Dr. Doom God Doom. It is the Molecule Man. That what makes God Doom who he is right now. And of course, Reed, he already knew that. He realized it had to be the Molecule Man. Now, with that being said, though, this is the moment you have the Maker betray Reed Richards. Ultimate Reed betrays the main Marvel Universe Reed. And the reason why? Because to the Maker, when he looks at the main Marvel Universe Reed, he looks at him as a wimp. And he says, who wants a wimpy god? And so he traps the main Marvel Universe Reed in some kind of time bubble where Reed basically goes through different time points throughout time. And so it hurts Reed, but of course, it's a way for the Maker to remove the main Marvel Universe Reed so that he believes that he'll become the next god in line after God Doom. But then you have the Molecule Man actually free the main Marvel Universe Reed from that time bubble, and then he gets rid of Ultimate Reed Richards. Just like that, without even moving an inch, the Molecule Man was able to do two things just like that. But then you have the Molecule Man tell main Marvel Universe Reed, he better get ready because sooner or later, God Doom is going to come down here to have a very important conversation. But getting back over to the battle between God Doom and Black Panther, this battle does go on for a couple more pages. But here's the big thing though. God Doom, he was really just playing around with Black Panther because he knew that he was way stronger than Black Panther. And so this whole battle was just God Doom playing around with Black Panther to make Black Panther believe that he had actually stand a chance against God Doom. But then you have God Doom realize, wait a second, Black Panther knew that he did not stand a chance against me. This was a distraction. And that is the moment you have God Doom leave Black Panther on the ground to figure out what in the world is really going on. Now, you do have God Doom teleport over to Valerie and Susan Storm. Now, this is very important because basically now they know everything because Reed Richards told them everything. And right now, you have God Doom upset because now the people that he may fall in love with him by using his God powers now know everything. That this world is not a real world. This world was made by God Doom, but in his own image. And so with that being said, he basically lost his family to Reed just telling them everything. But this leads into one of the best moments of all time when it comes to Marvel Comics, because you have Victor Von Doom actually walk into the room that was holding the Molecule Man. And when he does, of course, Reed is also in that room. And this begins the battle between two characters who have been rivals for so long in Marvel Comics. But of course, these two men, they have different opinions on how things should be handled. Because you have Victor Von Doom say, when it comes to Reed is always trying to handle problems that are happening right now. But when it comes to Victor Von Doom, he is trying to fix problems that could come down the road. Now, when it comes to Reed, you have Reed say, but here's your problem though, Victor. You had the power of a god. But here's the thing though, you are so scared to lose everything that you have made, everything that you had close to you. You held everything so close with your God power that now everything is falling apart because you made this world in your own image to make this world better for you, not for them, but for you. And so with that, you have these two men fighting against each other. Now, if you're wondering how in the world is Reed able to battle against God Doom, let me explain. Because the Molecule Man took the powers away from God Doom. And so now he is just regular Victor Von Doom. That is it. And so the fight is pretty fair. It's pretty even. But while you have these two men fighting against each other and expressing how they feel towards one another, you then have Victor Von Doom ask Reed one important question. And that question is, do you believe if you had the power of a god, would you be a better god than me? And you have Reed say, yes, I would have been a better god than you. Now, of course, you didn't have Victor Von Doom say, finally, we agree on something. And then he says, you can now die, Reed. But right before Victor Von Doom is able to kill off Reed Richards, that is the moment you have the Molecule Man say, oh, well, if you believe that he'll be a better god than you, then that changes everything. And that is the moment you had the Molecule Man remind us that when he was made by the Beyonders to be a bomb to blow up a universe. And so with that, he's all like, listen, if you believe that Reed Richards would be a better god than you, then I am going to blow up what you made, God Doom. And just like that, this new Earth is beginning to blow up. But while it's being blown up, you do have Black Panther grab one of the Infinity Stones, hoping that it can protect him long enough so that he will not die with this new Earth. But when he opens his eyes, he's back in Wakanda. Now, here comes the big thing, though. Because once he realized that he's back in Wakanda, he begins to walk around. He begins to look around at the country that he thought he had lost. But here comes the big surprise. He went back in time. And what I mean is that he went so far back in time that now we are at the very beginning of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers run. And what I mean is that, remember, at New Avengers #1, at the opening pages of that book, we saw Black Panther with a bunch of teenagers working on some kind of project. That took place at the very beginning of Jonathan Hickman's run on the Avengers and New Avengers. And so when Black Panther walks around Wakanda, he realized he's back at that time point. He's back at that moment right there. And so with that being said, he's kind of like, what happened? The last thing I remember was that New Earth was being wiped out. And here I am now, back at the very beginning of everything. But then we jump over to Miles Morales and Peter Parker. Now, this was a huge moment for the character of Miles Morales. And the reason why, because remember, when it came to Miles Morales at this point in Marvel Comics, he was in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. But with Marvel, they were trying to get rid of the Ultimate Marvel Universe, but keep things that were popular from the Ultimate Marvel Universe. And that was Miles Morales. And so with Miles giving the Molecule Man a burger back in our last video, the Molecule Man felt like he owed something to Miles Morales. And so what he did was he made Miles and his family transport over to the main Marvel universe, like they were always there in the first place, but we all know they weren't. But either way now, Miles Morales is now part of the main Marvel universe. Now, the big question is, what happened to Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom and the Molecule Man after that big battle? Well, we come to find out they all survived after the explosion of the new Earth that was made by God Doom. But what happened next was Reed and the Molecule Man basically made a deal to recreate the multiverse. And so with that being said, the first Earth they made was the original main Marvel universe. But now you have the Molecule Man, the Fantastic Four, and their children about to go around and recreate the multiverse. Because remember, at the end of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, right before Secret Wars, the multiverse was wiped out. And so right now you have our heroes, or really just Reed and Sue and their kids and the Molecule Man, recreating the multiverse, which is a very huge thing to see. But to close on this video, this long story that we have been covering, Secret Wars, we actually do see that Victor Von Doom is back to being king of Latveria once again. He's alive, and we see him walk outside his castle. But here comes the big shock though. He's no longer wearing that metal face, and his face is healed. All those scars he had on his face for a very long time in Marvel Comics is no longer around. He now has a regular looking face, and he looks happy about it. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So guys, we finally wrapped up Secret Wars. We're finally done with Jonathan Hickman's Avengers, New Avengers, Secret Wars. We're done with all of that. Don't worry, we're going to have some full story videos down the road, but either way, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.